Good morning to all. So I'm Sumitra, Associate Professor in R&D Engineering College, AAA Department. I'm handling renewable energy system for 7th semester AAA students. Today I'm going to handle third unit, and third unit is nothing but solar PV and thermal system. So regarding this renewable energy system, the first two units already covered. In first unit, we have discussed in general about the different types of renewable energy sources we have, and what are all the pros and cons of each and every renewable energy sources, and at the same time where and all these energy sources find its application, and what all the limitation factors existing for selection of each and every sources. And then coming to the second unit, in second unit it is getting related with the wind energy, right? So how the wind energy is utilized in generating the electrical energy, that we dealt a lot. Okay, discussed a lot. And coming to the third unit, we have solar PV and thermal system, which is lying on solar energy. So the subtopics under this unit are solar radiation and what are all the measurement devices required for measuring the solar radiation, and solar thermal power plant, central receiver power plants, and solar ponds, and what all the different thermal energy storage system we have with the phase change materials, which is abbreviated as PCM, and solar photovoltaic systems. That is some basic principle how the sort of solar photovoltaic conversion is taking place and all, and what are all the different types of PV systems available, and what are all the different types of solar cells available, and some basic solar cell concepts like what do you mean main cell, and when this will called as a array or a module. And after having a depth knowledge about the basic cell concepts, how to obtain the IV characteristics and PV characteristic of a solar PV module, and how to determine its efficiency and quality of a single cell or an array, and how the cells will need to be connected in order to come out with the required voltage and current values, like series and parallel connection. At last, we have a topic like different methodology used for tracking the maximum power point. And finally, it is going to end up with the applications where and all this solar energy is required. Okay, now moving on to the topic, the first one is the solar radiation. As we all know that it is the energy that is getting radiated by the sun, which is present in the form of electromagnetic waves. And we all know that the sun has a capacity, and even though it is emitting a vast amount of energy, the earth has an ability, or it will intercept only a fraction of it, right? Because the remaining thing is getting scattered by means of so many process and by means of so many particles which is even present in the atmosphere, and some part is going to get reflected from the earth's surface, like that. Okay, so we all know that again, earth is the only planet in the solar system which is going to receive an optimum amount of solar radiation, by means of which it makes the life sustainable on it. Okay, and then now coming to the solar energy spectrum, right? That is the solar radiation spectrum. Here, this diagram clearly shows how the radiation spectrum lies in the solar, right? So here, this is giving a classification of different wavelengths based on the radiation. That is, this is giving a classification like different radiations based on the wavelength in which it reaches the earth. Okay, so now it is very clear. First region is for ultraviolet, that is ranging from 0.1 to 0.4 micrometers, and the visible light from zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.7. So while considering the visible light, only 44% of the sun's radiation is going to get utilized for this region, right? And when coming to the ultraviolet, only 7% of sun's emission is utilized in this region, and followed by the near infrared, which is lying between zero point 0.71 to 4 micrometers, and then from 0.171 to 1.5 far infrared, something like that. So this is a spectrum which clearly shows the solar radiation based on the wavelength. Okay, so what I explained you, now it is given over here, the solar radiation having wavelength which is less than 0.28, it's called as ultraviolet. And we all know that in the atmosphere we have an ozone layer. That ozone layer is going to absorb this kind of radiation. If that is not happening, then what will happen? It will result in a disease called the skin pigments and all. That is, some color change will be happening in the skin of human beings, right? So if this is the absorption by the ozone layer is in the stratosphere is not functioning, means then this will occur because of the ultraviolet radiation that reaching the earth. Okay, then as I mentioned earlier, the solar radiation that reaches the earth will be partly getting scattered and reflected, and remaining thing only will be getting observed by the air molecules like aerosols, gases, clouds, etc. Okay, so always we have to provide a balance between the incoming energy and the outgoing energy, right? Globally speaking, there should be some balance. Otherwise, what will happen? The temperature of certain region will be more than that of the next region. Okay, for example, the tropical areas will get more energy than what they release, and tropical areas will get more energy than release, and similarly the higher altitude latitudes of winter hemisphere releases more energy than they receive. Okay, this will happen if a balance is not going to provide between the incoming radiant energy and the outgoing reflected energy. And this is a diagram which clearly explains how the solar radiation have a path towards the earth and in what fraction, or otherwise it shows clearly the depletion of the solar radiation by means of the atmosphere, right? So from the sun, the incoming solar radiation is found to be 100%, and out of which only 51% is getting observed at the surface, and from the surface it is about 4% which is getting reflected, and 20% which is reflected by means of clouds, and 6% which is getting reflected by means of the atmosphere, and 19% is again by means of atmosphere and clouds. Okay, it is getting again from by means of 19%. And then, as I already told you, some part of the radiant energy is going to observe by the atmospheres, which is present in terms of your particles, water vapor, absorbed in water vapor, ozone, carbon dioxide, and oxygen in a certain wavelength. Okay, and if the size of the particles is larger, then the wavelength of the light will take place. Okay, then there are also, apart from scattering, there are also occurring a phenomenon called reflection of radiation due to the presence of the cloud particles and even the particles of larger size and other materials present in your atmosphere. So only a considerable amount of solar radiation is going to get absorbed by the clouds, which are of several types. Okay, and then here we have one more factor called the albedo. So what do you mean by albedo means? As I already mentioned you, only a fraction of a radiation is going to get reflected back, right? So this fraction of radiation which is reflected back is called albedo of the ground. So on an average, this value is found to be about 0.2. Okay, this is found to be as a constant. This will occur because of the nature of some radiation which will be getting reflected back to the atmosphere due to reflection from the ground, or even from the cloud, or even due to the scattering of certain materials. Like, so as a whole, a fraction of radiation reflected back is called the albedo, and it is found to be as an average of 0.2. Okay, now coming to the types of radiation, solar radiation. So based on the direction it getting reached the earth, it is of three different types, like a direct radiation or beam radiation, and next one is a diffuse radiation, and the last one is a total or the global radiation, which is nothing but the sum of direct and diffuse radiation. So this picture clearly shows you how the thing is getting happen. Consider this is the sun. Okay, so from here, some part of the energy is getting directly radiated to the solar panel, and some is reaching your ground, and from ground it is getting reflected, and some part is getting absorbed by the molecules present in the atmosphere, and some is getting scattered by means of those things, and the resultant radiation is your diffuse radiation. So it is clearly shown the direction of the travel is getting changed in case of diffused radiation, but whereas in case of your direct radiation, the direction of its path is remain unchanged. Okay, so this is the difference between direct and diffuse way. So in case of direct radiation, the direction of its path is remaining unchanged, whereas in diffuse, the direction is getting changed due to the absorption, reflection, and scattering phenomenon. Clear? And then coming to the global radiation, this is nothing but the sum of the direct and the diffuse radiation. So as I already mentioned you, the two components are direct or beam radiation, which means unchanged in direction. Diffuse means the direction which is changed by means of scattering and reflection. And finally, the global becomes the sum of the beam and the diffuse radiation. So the same definition is given over here. And this is a picture which clearly explains you how the radiation is splitted into different phenomena, like a terrestrial region and extraterrestrial region. And this is the beam radiation, which is having a that is unchanged direction, and this is the diffuse radiation which is having a change in its direction. Here comes the extraterrestrial and terrestrial region, whereas extraterrestrial is the region which means that the radiant energy falls outside the Earth's atmosphere. And whereas the terrestrial region is the one in which the Earth releases some of the radiation energy, but in opposition to that of the solar radiation. See, these are all the terrestrial radiations, right? So this acts in a direction opposite to that of the solar radiation. And by means of the particles present in your atmosphere, like carbon dioxide, oxygen, ozone, water, that is in the presence in the form of water droplets in the cloud, everything, the scattering phenomenon will takes place, and because of that, you may be getting an option of diffuse radiation. And the beam radiation is the one by which the solar energy, that is the radiant energy, is getting reach the earth in a direct line, direct path, or in a direction without any change. Okay, so the sum of this beam radiation and the diffuse radiation is nothing but the global radiation. Thank you, students. And the next class I will explain you the remaining phenomena.